Hello, friends. How are we doing? Good to see everybody tonight. Good to see everybody tonight. We just had a whole pot of yogurt. What was the volume of that thing? 500 grams. Oh, well, whatever that is in pounds or ounces or whatever. It's quite a lot. I guess it's a pound. A pound of yogurt. Natural. Yeah. So that was nice. What are we doing today? Well, we're going to look at Ezra McCandless on the stand. For fuck's sake. This lady, I mean, if I can bear it, health warning to all, because she's an absolute. I mean, I quite like watching Jodi Arias. I roll my eyes and I can't believe what she's doing. But when I watch it, I don't know if I would say that I root for her, but you know, I think it's pretty unimpeachable that she's got a bit of flair. She's got a bit of style as a complete psycho bitch. But Ezra has no style. There's no style. She's a lot younger. I mean, she's not that much younger, but she comes across as just this idiot. Anyway, I think we'll jump straight into it today. I had something to say, but I can't remember what it was. We're going to head over to our very good friends, Rottweiler Investigations. Link in the description because it's a fantastic channel. What a resource! Yeah, I can see us using lots of their content in the future. He puts all of the cases that I love to cover. It's fantastic. How do we share this here? Share this. Welcome everybody in the KJD with that fantastic logo. Angie Wallaby Ange. Oh yeah. And many thanks to everybody in the chat. And hang on a sec. Where is my brain? Yeah, let's come back to the intro.
Morning, would you state your name and spell it for the record, please?
My name is Ezra McCandless. EZRAMCCANDLESS.
Okay, Ezra, I'm going to ask you to speak really clearly into the microphone because you're soft-spoken.
Yes.
Okay.
Palpable, isn't it? The excitement that she has of getting up here. I'm in the sun. Spotlight's on me. Eyes on me. Me. Better get that microphone so everybody can hear me. Yeah.
So everybody can hear you. All right?
All right.
I guess the first question I'm going to ask you is, why Ezra McCandless? Why that name?
Why Ezra McCandless? Well, I have gone through a lot of changes in my life regarding identity and...
You're 20 years old. You don't have a life. Okay? I have gone through quite a lot of changes in my life. In my short nothing, haven't even made it to an adult life. Okay? A lot of changes in my life. First, I wanted to be a boy. Then I wanted to be a girl. Then I wanted to be a boy, girl, boy. A neutral. Oh.
And what really fits me. And I tried on a few names, but I found ultimately...
I tried on a few names. She talks about it like she's playing, I don't know what, like dress up or something. I mean, I guess it is dress up, but it's just like I tried on a few names. It's like pairs of shoes. You've got to go somewhere. I mean, I don't have a lot of shoes, but I've heard about people that do. And when they have to go somewhere to like an event, they'll try on lots of different pairs of shoes. I tried on a few shoes, looking for the shoes that really fit me.
Ultimately, that Ezra's fit perfectly for who I am.
What was your birth name?
My birth name was Monica J.
And did your name eventually become the last name Carlin?
Yes.
Okay. So why did you decide specifically, I'm going to ask you the specifics of both names and what they mean to you. Let's talk about the last name first. Why you changed your last name?
I changed my last name not to change my last name because of family's sake, but I changed it because of the name McCandless is from an individual named Christopher McCandless from Into the Wild, he's known for. And his love for nature, his philosophies for life, they were very in tune and aligned with who I am. So I honored him by taking his last name.
And what about, and Into the Wild, just,
Oh yeah, and what does he think about that? Now he's changed his name. Oh my God, that crazy girl from Wisconsin, that killer took my name to honor me. I'm changing my name to Smith. It's Chris Smith from now on. Okay.
everybody might know what it is, just in a sentence, tell us.
It's a novel. It's a book he wrote.
Okay. It was a book written about him?
Yeah. He didn't write the book. In fact, who wrote the book? Let's have a look. Let's go to Wikipedia. Let's see what Wikipedia says. Into the Wild is a 1996 nonfiction book written by John Krakauer. It is an expansion of a 9,000-word article by Krakauer on Chris McCandless, titled "Death of an Innocent." Are you sure it wasn't titled "Death of an Innocent Philosophy Professor," which appeared in the January 1993 issue of Outside? So we've got "Death of an Innocent" outside, "Death of a Philosophy Professor" outside, in a Chevy Impala was the name of the publication. The book was adapted to a film of the same name in 2007, directed by Sean Penn, which is funny because if you rearrange the letters of Sean Penn, you can actually spell out Ezra McCandless is a murdering slut.
Yes, about him.
Okay. And what about the name Ezra? How did you choose that name?
I was on a family vacation and it was just absolutely wonderful. And I spotted the name Ezra and I noticed how it's more neutral. It leans not necessarily masculine and it's not necessarily completely feminine. And I found that it felt right to me.
At a certain point in your life, did you feel that being identified as female did not fit you?
Yes.
Okay. Why don't you explain how you view your gender?
In high school, I found that I felt more comfortable being masculine. It was how I identified at the time. My alignment was very masculine.
What about now?
Now I'm fluid. So I lean now more towards my femininity as a woman.
Okay. Because you're a woman. Now I'm fluid. Yeah, I changed. I went through a lot of changes in my life, in my short nothing life, and I developed into a fluid aspect of my existence.
Okay. And has this fluidity been going on for a period of time?
Yes, for a few years now.
Okay. I'm going to ask you what might seem like a silly question, but just so people knows, have you been doodling in court?
Yes.
Can you explain why?
Well,
I've been doodling. I'd love to show you my art. I'm an artist. I'm a fluid artist, and I'm leaning towards my femininity. But sometimes I like to wear jeans, So I guess then I'm masculine. And some other times I might wear a dress, and then I lean through my fluids to the feminine. Okay.
I've been doodling in court because there's times when this experience is very traumatic and it helps center me so that.
Hey, you know what else is really traumatic, Ezra? Being stabbed to death up a muddy road in the snow and left to die. bleeding to death. Yeah. That was a traumatic experience. I hope you left Alex a Sharpie so he could draw on your piece of shit car.
I can breathe through it and I can focus on something at the time so that I can breathe.
Are you an
I
artist?
wonder if Alex could breathe when you stabbed him in the jugular.
Yes.
Can you just tell the jury a little bit about how you developed your interest in art?
I developed my interest in art when I was as young as 5 years old. I've always had an interest in art and I've been doing it since then.
Yeah, I started coloring in. 5 years old. For Christmas, I got some felt tip pens and a coloring book, and I colored it all in. And I was really good at coloring in the lines, within the lines. So that's where I developed my fluid artist talents. Paint by numbers, also. I was fantastic at paint by numbers.
And I continued to have a passion for it throughout high school and even in secondary school when I decided to take art and work for a professor of the arts and hang for a gallery.
All right. And the other thing I want to ask you is what your height and weight are. So what's your height, first of all?
I'm 5'2".
And how much do you weigh?
I roughly
I'm sorry.
I roughly weigh between 115 and 120 pounds.
Back in March
Yes.
of 2018, approximately what was your weight? Or
Approximately my weight was 115.
right, so about the same.
Yes.
Were there times before then where you were heavier?
Yes.
I'm going to ask you about meeting Alex.
All right. Yes.
Why don't you tell us how you met Alex Woodworth?
I met Alex Woodworth one night when I noticed him. He was writing alone inside a bar called The Joint. He just seemed very focused, and I thought it was interesting that he was alone amongst all these people, so focused on his writing.
And when you saw him alone, focused on his writing, did you have any conversation with him?
Yes.
How did that occur?
I was curious as to how he could focus alone on this topic. I approached him and I said, "What are you writing about? Just tell me about it."
I'm going to show you what has been marked as exhibit number 697. Sorry, can't see anything without my glasses. And ask you to identify what this is.
This is a table of contents of Alex's writings.
Okay. You see this before?
Yes.
All right. And just to understand what writings they are, you were in court when the original copies of his journal were shown.
Yes.
Right? And is this an accurate copy of them?
Yes.
All right. And just showing you, can you name the names of the journals?
Yes. Do you want me to read?
Yes, you can. You can, and it's just so the jury is clear. Does this book contain both the original copies of the original handwriting and then typed copies to make it easier to read?
Yes.
All right. Okay. So, what are the names of the journals?
Personal notes, research ideas, and the quest to understand.
Okay, that's the first journal. The
Yes.
second.
Extra Scraver.
Okay, and the third.
I met a man walking through a briar patch. He was looking for the rose promised by the thorns.
Judge, I would move exhibit 697 into evidence.
Driver, can we just approach a second?
Yes. All right, well, exhibit 697, subject to a limitation, will be received.
When you met Mr. Woodworth,
Yes.
What's this lady got as a necklace today? It's another car part. Spare car part. What was it the other day? It was that strange sausage necklace. but it also looked like it could be used to repair an engine. And what is this? Kind of looks like an umbrella or a mushroom or a bell. What is it?
I'm going to show you page 6.
Okay.
From the exhibit you just saw.
Yes.
First of all, on that day, did Alex Woodworth show you his journal?
Yeah, Veronica, you've always got to look out for the small ones, you know. They're like little Jack Russells. Are you a Jack Russell, Veronica? Up and under. Bush.
Yes.
And looking at page 6, I'm just going to ask you to take a minute to look. There's 2 pages to page 6, a typed version and a handwritten version.
Yes.
Are those the same, the typed version and the handwritten version?
Yes, they are.
Did he share with you what he had written on that day?
Yes, he did share with me.
Did you also read it at a later date?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to put this on the. Oh, no.
Hi, Chris. And thanks so much for the coffees the other day, Chris. I don't know if I already gave you a shout out for that, but that was really appreciated. And also, thank you so much to Eliza. Or Eliza. Eliza? I'm not sure. And Maria Nilsson. And also a very shy person, but a very generous person, whose name begins with the letter M. But they did ask me not to give them a shout out because they're very shy. But I hope you know who you are and how much we at True Crime Metrix think you're wonderful and love you very much.
Okay, first off, all right. And just to clarify the record, this is a journal entry from August 8th, 2017, right? Okay, so just to show what the handwritten version looks like, is this the handwritten version?
Yes.
All right, now so we can read it, I'm going to show you the typed version. Huh? Okay. So in this typed version, after it starts with a quotation, right?
Yes.
And that's
Yes.
from a book.
Yes.
Do you know who the author of that?
I don't know if she's better looking than Jodie or not, Bob. I mean, I don't find either of them attractive at all. At all. Like, at all. Neither of them. But I've said it before, if I absolutely had to sit down and eat a meal with either Ezra McCandless or Jodie Arias, it'd be Jodie 100% of the time. No need to think about that.
That book is?
No, I cannot remember.
Okay.
Vivian,
that's fine.
hello.
Can you read the next sentence to the jury?
I am oddly preoccupied with the concept of cannibalism, not quite with the actual cannibalism practice, but rather.
So this is, for anyone who doesn't know, Ezra's defense basically boils down to Alex was a depressed psycho who was into cannibalism and wanted to try it and tried to get me to try it. And then I thought he was going to eat me because he was crazy and he was a nihilist and he took whatever he wanted because there's no point to existence, blah, blah, blah. So he wanted to rape me because of his philosophies. Oh, it's just such bullshit. But the cannibalism thing, you know, she abuses his writings. His biggest passion in the world was philosophy and reading philosophy and writing philosophy and developing these huge texts like what you can see here. This is his work, right? This is the man's biggest passion, which would have surely gone on to form a legacy as he grew more and more into that. And she's chosen to use that very thing to bastardize his character and to just drag his name through the false mud, right? Which is just unbelievable. You know, the level of what would you even call it? Slander. To use that very tool to take it away from him by taking his whole life away from him, and then to use that very thing to as your tool to say, yes, look, cannibalism he was writing about. He's mad.
The indwelling metaphors our understanding actually works with.
All right. The essay, what does the essay go on to talk about without having to read every line?
Cannibalism is mentioned in this essay a few times. It goes on to deal with the concept of metaphorical cannibalism and the concept of cannibalism itself as what cannibalism renders you as, and the anxieties and the fears and being a meal in a sense.
Is it fair to say, or is your interpretation of the essay that it is philosophical in nature
Yes,
as opposed to literal in nature?
yes.
Oh, and by the way, guys, we finally got some True Crime Metrics logo tees up in the merch store at merch.truecrimemetrics.com. Yeah, we got a bunch of stuff here. We got the big logo, we got the little logo. We got all sorts of logos. We had a request for both of those, so they are available. What was I going to say? We got mugs. We got stickers. Get your True Crime Metrics logo stickers. Yeah. And I'm going to do another one with the text because I figured some people might want the text on the logo and some people wouldn't. So if you want your gang sign tees, head over to the merch store, link in the description. And by the way, guys, if one of our favorite people in our community said, hey, I'm going to buy a Judge Everett shirt just as soon as the True Crime Metrics logo is added to that shirt. And that's great. But with this specific design, I don't know where to put it. I mean, I tried a few places. I was like putting it down here, putting it up here. It didn't really look right. So what I think I'm going to do is do another Judge Everett design, just completely different, and put the True Crime Metrics logo in there. But I just want to say, if anyone sees a merch and says, that's good, but I'd like it to have that thing, tell us in the Discord and we'll do it. You know, we'll put it out. We want you to get what you want, you know. But yeah, fantastic True Crime Metrics mugs. Look at that. Fantastic mug. We got the long sleeve, we got the hoodies, we got the lot. Yeah, link in the description, guys, if you want to have a look. Oh, I think we lost audio again. Okay, that happens. Wait a second.
His writings on cannibalism, but I'm going to ask you a little more about that conversation with him.
Yes.
Aside from looking at his journal about cannibalism, what discussions did you and Alex Woodworth have at that time?
Well, he caught me right away because I thought it was quite a peculiar subject, cannibalism. And I was interested in what he meant, what I understood. He was speaking of it philosophically, and I also wanted his ideas and his concepts of.
And hello to everyone in the chat. So good to see you all. Winona, Bob, Chris, Yulina, Tay. Fantastic to see you, Tay. Derek, as always. Always count on Derek. Vivian, fantastic to see you too. Nola Vine, Sam Boda. Lee. She is the epitome of batshit crazy. I couldn't agree with you more, Lee. Yeah, Nola Vine, I find Ezra repugnant in every way possible. Exactly, right? If there's a checklist of repugnancy. She ticks every single point, right? That is such a good word to use. Repugnant. Yes. Absolutely. Barb. She was the cannibal. Yeah, maybe. I mean, fuck knows what's in this girl's head. Herself. Just a big picture of herself. This is where it comes from. She's utterly self-obsessed. It's horrible. It's horrible.
Literally cannibalism. So we talked back and forth about a few artists that have partaken in cannibalism that he mentioned. We spoke about the anxieties of and what it means for someone to consume another.
What did he say that at that time, on August 8th?
Oh, I get you, Leslie. Yeah, well, even so, we're all open to suggestions, and by all I mean me and Soap are totally open to suggestions. Whatever people want, we'll do. Got a lot to get through. It does take a while to sort of, make it and upload it. But yeah, you just want one order. Well, fill your boots, Leslie.
Or roughly August 8th of 2017, what did he tell you about what he meant by consuming another?
Objection, hearsay, Your Honor.
Overruled. Again, we have had a pretrial ruling on this, and it doesn't go to the truth of the matter. It only goes to what Ms. McCandless heard or understood or what was in her mind. So you may proceed.
As long as we're on that understanding, then that's fine.
Okay.
I withdraw the objection.
Can you ask the question again, please?
Sure. Actually, I'll have the court reporter read it back, so it's exactly the same.
Okay.
Look at her demeanor on this stand. I mean, she's giddy with the excitement of being in the middle of the attention. There's a room, probably with, I don't know, with the jury as well, total number of people in the room, the court staff, there's 100 people in this room intensely listening to her. She could not be happier about that.
Okay, so what did he say at that time on August 8th, or roughly August 8th of 2017? What did he tell you about? Hold on. What did he tell you about what he meant by consuming others?
Thank you. At that time, when we were deep in this discussion, he mostly talked about the philosophical sense, and he also mentioned the fact that often individuals partook in cannibalism because it was, in essence, a consumption of one's power to take in another's flesh.
All right. Besides cannibalism, did you talk about other things with him that evening?
Yes,
All right. At some point, was your conversation interrupted by another person?
it was.
Who came over to interrupt your conversation?
My boyfriend at the time, Jason, pulled me aside and he kind of interrupted our conversation.
Look at this. So she's gone to the bar with her boyfriend and is now having a flirtatious chat about cannibalism with Alex. Jason comes over and says, "Hey, how's it going?" And Ezra's like, "What do you want? Can't you see I'm involved here?" And she's still annoyed about it, even here. Even when that guy that her boyfriend saw her talking to and felt like uncomfortable about it, maybe, went over to check. She did end up having an affair with that guy and then stabbed him to death and is now on trial for the murder. It's been at least 2 years since Jason came over in the joint bar, and she's still annoyed about it, even in this context. Look at her face. Oh, he came over and,
Individuals partook in cannibalism because it was, in essence, a consumption of one's power to take in another's flesh.
All right. Besides cannibalism, did you talk about other things with him that evening?
Yes.
At some point, was your conversation interrupted by another person?
Oh, we're so quirky. Yes, of course we spoke about other things than cannibalism and philosophy, but everything we did was in a deep discussion because look at me, we're so great. We're deep discussion. We're not the simps, yeah? We're Racy's rats, okay? We have funny hats, we're Racy's rats, and we wax poetic.
It was
Who came over to interrupt your conversation?
my boyfriend at the time, Jason, pulled me aside and he kind of interrupted our conversation.
What impressions or feelings did you have after Jason interrupted your conversation?
About him interrupting?
Yes, about him interrupting.
Well, I felt that my conversation was cut short, that I had plenty more to talk about.
Were you able to then continue your conversation with Alex Woodworth?
Yes.
Why don't you just summarize that for us? What else you talked about?
Well, we went out for a smoke and we started talking about our love for spiders because we both noticed a spider in the window sill or a spider web. We noticed it at the same time.
Okay. So that first time that you talked to Alex, how long? About?
Yeah, somewhere in my mid-teens, which was about 3 years ago, I discovered that I could use my quirky impression ability to appeal to men of a certain type. And I saw a man of a certain type in the bar, so I took him outside and told him I love spiders. And then we spoke about eating human flesh and stayed up all night. Yeah, and then my actual boyfriend came over when I was like live cucking him in the bar, and had a problem with it. But that's because he's not in a deep discussion, you know. That's not because he's not a free thinker like me. Because I've evolved, you know, at the tender age of 19.
Oh, if you can remember approximately, how long do you think your conversation was with him on that particular date?
In whole, I think our conversation was about an hour.
Did you continue your friendship after that?
Yes.
And did you eventually become more than just friends?
Yes.
All right, we're going to return to that. But right
Okay.
now, I'm going to get into a different topic with you, all right? I'm going to ask you about Jason Mangle.
All right.
Tell us briefly how you met Jason.
I met Jason outside of a coffee shop.
C. Malone asks, one thing that doesn't quite calibrate to him, I assume it's him, Ezra is 5'2", like around 114 pounds. Alex is much bigger guy, so how did he not defend himself? Well, I mean, the first strike was a weapon knife to the temple, you know, the temple bone, big, sharp, hard steel, cold blade hitting you in the temple. Yeah, you know, you try it.
One night after a music festival,
What's the name of that coffee shop?
Racy Delane's.
All right. And just tell us a little bit about meeting him.
He let out a big sigh, and I was curious why he was doing that. He seemed quite frustrated, so I said, "Well, what's the matter?" And
God, look at the way she says that. It's like for a moment she just turns into an insect or something. The way she says that, it reminds me of Katharine Hepburn in the transatlantic accent of 1945. Well, what's the matter?
he let out a big sigh, and I was curious why he was doing that. He seemed quite frustrated, so I said, "Well, what's the matter?" And
God, kill it now, kill it.
we instantly started talking, and we talked almost all night.
after that all-night conversation, what happened with you and Jason?
Well, after we exchanged information, we had begun texting and back and forth, and we started seeing each other after.
At that time, where were you living?
I was living with my mother in Stanley, Wisconsin.
The texting went on, and did it texting lead to dating?
Yes,
You sound kind of happy about that, or not happy, intense, I would say, would be
Well-
the word.
we fell in love quite fast because we had just so much in common.
Yeah, I have so much in common with anybody that I want to use to propel my own self-image. Yeah, I just pick it up, I walk up to them and I say, "Hey, what are you writing about? Just tell me about the cannibals." And then I act like I'm really interested, and I act like we've got the same ideas, and that's part of my whole sales patter, because then they're hooked, right? Yeah, with us, we fell in love so fast because the energy clicked. We were old souls. It was an ancient love, and blah, 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 blah. Jesus Christ. Yeah, no one should, just kill it now.
And how, in the beginning of that relationship, how would you characterize how Jason treated you?
He treated me very well.
What was the age difference, or what is the age difference between you and Jason Mangle?
It's about 13, 14 years apart.
Do you know how old you were when you met him?
Yes, I was about 19.
Did you know how old he was?
Yes.
Yeah, I usually go for older guys because they've got more stuff that I can use. Yeah, I saw Jason's house and I said, "Hey, so how about you and me? Hey, you and me? Hey, yeah, come on, you and me. Let's have a really deep discussion about bicycling, because your interests are my interests."
How old was he then? If you recall.
He was about 34.
All right. So that's how you remember it?
Yeah,
All right. So there's
Yes.
about a 15 or so year age difference between the two of you?
yes,
Did you realize that right away when you met him?
yes.
How did you feel about that? That
Well,
age difference specifically?
the age difference. Well, I wasn't concerned necessarily that we had an age gap. I felt a bit awkward that he was so much older than me and he was even close to my own parents' age.
Did there come a time in your relationship where you got pregnant?
Yes,
How did you discover that?
I was very sick and I had been throwing up for weeks, and I decided to go buy a pregnancy test and take it.
When you say buy a pregnancy test, do you mean those kinds they sell in the drugstore that give you a line?
Yes,
All right. So where were you when you took the pregnancy test? Do you remember?
I was at a gas station.
Ah, the old gas station pregnancy test. Yes. Nothing spells mature adult like taking a pregnancy test in a gas station public restroom. I need some Mountain Dew Baja Blast. I've got to pee on another stick. Give me a gallon of Baja. Do you have any toilet seat covers? You're all out, huh? Okay. Well, I'll try and hover.
And did you tell Jason about it?
Yes, I did.
How did he react?
He seemed anxious and he wanted to go get the test confirmed at the doctor.
Yeah, Jason found out. Ezra already knew she was pregnant, but she hadn't. I'm just responding to Victoria Girl here. Her boyfriend, Victoria Girl says her boyfriend said They found out she was pregnant at the doctor's. Yeah, well, you see, you're missing one thing, Victoria girl. Everything out of this bitch's mouth is a complete lie, okay? A whore lie, a murder lie. It's just 100% Ezra already knew she was pregnant, but hadn't worked out how to play Jason, right? 100%. It's her default position. She's only honest sometimes by accident, by just, whoops, I was honest again. Better watch that.
And it was hard to really read what he was thinking at the time.
Did you go to the doctor?
No, Leslie, she bought it at a drugstore and took it in a gas station.
Yes, I did.
After, and what was the result from the doctor's office?
I was in fact pregnant.
Ultimately, what did you decide to do about that pregnancy?
I ultimately decided to terminate the pregnancy early on.
Why?
I wasn't sure what to do at that time. I was scared. I was so young. I was confused as to really what to do. So I decided, it felt rushed. I decided to terminate the pregnancy.
And would it be fair to say that even then you had very conflicted feelings?
Yes.
Objection, leading.
Sustained.
All right. How did terminating the pregnancy make you feel?
I felt very empty after. I felt it hurt emotionally and physically, and it made me feel alone and very empty.
After terminating the pregnancy, did you tell Jason you did not want him in the room?
I did, yes.
Why?
I felt overwhelmingly ashamed, and I just felt like I didn't want to have him witness me like that. I didn't want him to.
This abortion and its aftermath, was there a change at all to your relationship?
Yes.
Why don't you tell us about that?
After the abortion, things between me and my partner and Jason, it caused a lot of distance between us. He began sleeping on the couch, and he rejected physical intimacy, even holding my hand at times.
Just so we set the date, do you recall the date that you terminated?
Well, what Jason said in his police interview was that he didn't want to get herpes or Hep C because he'd worked out that you were sleeping with everybody, and that all the guys in town were sleeping with a hooker that had come into the village, a stoned hooker. And he was like, well, thinking, okay, so they've all been putting their dicks in the stoned hooker and Ezra. So that's why he was sleeping on the couch.
Terminated your pregnancy?
Yes.
When was it?
The only date that I could schedule was October 6th.
Is that a significant day to you in another way?
Yes.
Why?
It's my birthday.
So you said he started sleeping.
This is another thing. She leapt. It was the only day I could book. It was the only day that I could book for the abortion was my birthday. Really? Why? I mean, you have no job. You sit in the fucking coffee shop all day, gossiping and acting like you're some sort of, oracle of gender fluidity. I mean, okay, maybe it was the clinic that was fully booked and they could only offer her one day. But what I think is that she knew, as we can see here in her, it was my birthday. That's a sympathy jerker, right? Everyone who hears that's going to go, "Oh my God, that was the only day you could book, and you had to terminate your pregnancy on your birthday." She probably wanted that to happen because it's all money in the bank to her, isn't it?
On the couch,
Yes.
lacked physical intimacy, wouldn't even hold your hand. Were there other things going on in your relationship that made you
Oh shit, you're right, Leslie. It's actually the 7th here now, but yeah. Happy birthday, Ezra. Happy birthday, Ezra. So how old will she be today? She will be 27. Should we have a look at her now? See if I can find a picture of her from jail. It's not now, but it is post-conviction after her appeals not going well. And she's changed her look again, folks. The fluidity. It's come back.
feel uneasy or unhappy?
Yes.
Why don't you tell us about those?
Jason and I started feeling frustrated, and I felt very micromanaged at the time. He was controlling me in many ways and micromanaging me, and we had started to grow apart as a couple.
Were there anything that he did that made you feel physically uncomfortable?
Yes, he never hit me, but he would be very erratic with his gestures, and sometimes he would throw things or break things, and that made me uneasy.
No one else has testified to that, even Jenna. Remember Jenna? Good old strong Jenna that came in and told us what a dick Jason was? You know? Said that he would say hurtful things. Well, she never mentioned anything about him throwing things, breaking things. And, she lived in the same house. I mean, it's possible that he only did it in private and only broke stuff that she wouldn't have seen. But, when you're dealing with a liar, isn't it safer to assume things that assume that she's lying?
Did he make accusations of you at all?
Yes.
Why don't you give us an example?
An example of an accusation is that I was clumsy and that I would lose his things all of the time. And there was a time where he got very heated over a Sharpie marker even, and it caused an argument.
Mr. Nelson's thinking, red Sharpie marker. Yes, where did I put my red Sharpie marker?
Between us.
What did he say about the Sharpie marker?
That I misplaced it on purpose, and I'm so stupid for losing things all the time. I shouldn't touch his things. That
Ezra, you don't give a fuck about anyone else's possessions. Yeah? So here she is on video chat in jail. What's going on here? Oh, God. She kind of looks like someone who's realized, what, you mean I'm really not going to get out? For 50 years at least, and then even then it might not happen. You mean I've got to sit in here for 50 fucking years and I might die in this building? Yep, that's what happens, Ezra, you see? But happy birthday.
that's about what it was about.
You were in court when Jenna Van de Zant testified?
Yes.
And she identified herself as, well, first of all, did Jason have a roommate back at that time?
Yes, he did.
What was that roommate's name?
His name was Alexander Zink.
And what was Jenna Van de Zant's relationship to Alexander Zink?
They were boyfriend and girlfriend.
Was she somebody that at that time you became close to?
Yes.
You heard her testify about Jason criticizing your makeup, or what was that about?
Well, he would at times criticize my makeup. He would say I looked like a clown, or he would criticize my weight, even though at that time I was very small from being sick. And he just, anything he could really pick at, he would.
Um,
I don't believe her at all. You know, Jason's main thing is looking after people that are injured or sick or whatever in a total awkward puss, read all the signs wrong kind of way. But I don't think it can be argued that he's one of these guys. That's his fuel, isn't it? It's like he needs to be, if it's not a hero, he needs to be a helper, you know, or a listener or one of these things. He's not going to wait until she's ill and getting really small and call her fat.
you mentioned that Jason and your adoptive father, Joe Shane Carlin, are about the same age.
Yes.
And did Jason have a relationship? Well, first, did Jason in some ways remind you of your father?
Oh, yes. He definitely reminded me of my father.
Okay. Currently, how's your relationship with your father?
I love him and we're fine.
Okay. But growing up,
Yeah, my father's still stuck believing my portrayal of who I am, which I'm not. And yeah, so for the time being, we're fine because he hasn't woken up yet.
how was your relationship with your father?
It was very turbulent. I was often afraid of him and intimidated and very put down.
Yeah, he'd carry a wooden spoon around everywhere, and when he was annoyed, he'd take it out of his belt loop and show it to me. Yeah, the belt was his favorite childhood development tool.
Well, first of all, let me ask about both your parents, your mother and your father. When you grew up,
Yes.
at a certain point, did your mother and Joe Shane get a divorce?
Yes.
How old were you then?
I was in middle school. So 11, 12.
Before the divorce, what word would you say most described that household?
It was like living with two tornadoes in one room.
What word would you use to describe that household? It was like living with two tornadoes in one room. How many words is that? It was like living with two tornadoes in one room. It's 10 words, guys.
All right. And focusing on that,
Yes.
the tornado that was Joe Shane, when you say tornadoes, what do you mean by that?
What I
When we
mean
first
by
asked that.
that is they're both very strong, opinionated people, and they just would often butt heads. And my mom she disagreed about ways he would discipline me, and that would cause arguments.
Was there a lot of time when your mom was not at home during that period of your life?
Yes, she was working.
And when you were with Joe Shane and your mother wasn't around,
Yes.
tell us about some of the things he would do.
Some of the things he would do when I was younger is he was very loud. He would always yell about something, or he would put me down. He often called me stupid, and he would say I wouldn't amount to much and that I was slow, and he was very emotionally abusive to me.
How did you respond to that?
I responded by just being quiet, and I would cry, and I would just often go off and be alone.
When you would cry, how would he handle that?
He doesn't approve of crying. He would tell me that he would give me something to cry about.
Was part of your response of dealing with him, did you sometimes feel like you were like spaced out or lost a sense of where you were?
Yes.
Why don't you tell us about that?
there was often times to tone out the yelling and the name calling that I felt very distant from myself. I would essentially just close off everything around me, and I didn't want to cry in front of him, so I would prevent myself from crying.
Were there times where you found yourself in that state without even realizing you were going there?
Yes, there was times I would zone out and I wouldn't even realize I was doing it at the time.
Do you remember Ed Norton in that film with Richard Gere? I lost time. I lost time. I lost time.
All right. And getting back to Jason,
Yes,
did he meet your parents?
yes,
And Jason and your father, what kind of relationship did they have?
very buddy. They were very close with each other.
Yeah, very buddy. Yeah, they were very close. They'd get together and have beers and pick on me. They were bully buddies. What is she trying to imply? What? Just say it. This is her whole tactic, in her discussions with her friends, where she's looking for sympathy. She doesn't come right out and tell people what's going on. She gives them little bits, and I don't want to talk about it. It's okay. I'll get through. And then the friend is like, "No, what? Tell me, please. What's the matter?" Oh, it's Jason. He's just being. I can't tell you. It's private. I don't want to betray his trust. These little bits and pieces, slowly. And she's trying to do it in court, but this is a courtroom, Ezra. We've got a record. All we need to do is look back on the record, and we can see all your little clever bits and pieces in one big chunk, and that's called evidence.
Okay. So coming back to the issue, leaving aside your family,
Yes,
coming back to the issue of you and Jason, and you're in this period where things aren't going well.
yes.
What is happening at this point in your friendship with Alex Woodworth? And I'm directing you specifically to October
Yes.
2017, okay? After the abortion.
Alex and he would notice me at the coffee shop and I would notice him more. And we started going on long walks with each other after he would close.
When you say he would close, what do you mean?
Closing up the restaurant, coffee shop, Racy Delane's.
Do you mean he was closing up because he was the last patron there, or was he working there?
Working.
And on these walks, why don't you tell us what you and Alex talked about?
Alex and we talked about life itself. I would talk about nature and how I viewed things. And then Alex would talk about how he would view things and his philosophies and his ramblings, as he would say. And often I was kind of the yin to his yang, because a lot of his philosophies countered mine, because mine are very in the sunlight, in the sunshine, and his are very much so a rainy day.
My philosophies are in the sunlight. Okay. She talks about these philosophies like that they're like tangible things. I mean, like parts of you. And I guess that could be seen to be true. But essentially, they're thoughts and outlooks, and she talks about fluidity. Could there be anything more fluid than philosophy? It evolves. That's the journey of it, isn't it? Have I got that wrong?
Did you tell Alex about your abortion?
Yes, I did. On one of our walks, I shared with him what I was going through at that time, and he allowed me to open up about it and how I really truly felt and all of the pain that came with it.
As you got close to Alex.
Yes,
Did you learn more about his past?
I learned some things about his past. Yes.
And your relationship, I'm going to ask you some questions about his past, actually.
All right.
Hello, Cassandra.
What did you learn about Alex and his feelings as you became close with him?
Feelings towards his past.
Yeah, just tell us some of the things he shared with you.
Some of the things he shared with me is that he often puts a happy face on when he goes back home for holidays, and at times it can deeply depress him. And he often felt like an outsider, that he had arguments with his father, I believe, and that he was deeply
I guess I'm going to
religious.
object, Your Honor. I don't
Love this, Nola. Yeah. Ezra McCandless, the faulty egg. The egg at fault.
see, I don't see the relevance, number one. And number two, it's hearsay.
Well, again, first of all, in the hearsay objection, ladies and gentlemen, and you're going to hear testimony about things that Mr. Woodworth may have said and things that he may have wrote. And they're allowed in this case, not for the truth of what he wrote or what he said. And this is a difficult concept, I think. And you'll get an instruction at the close of the case and why this evidence is admitted and why it is allowed. So and lawyers understand this, and hear it all the time, but it's not offered for the truth of the matter asserted, but only offered as it goes to the context and the state of mind Ms. McCandless may have had and what she heard or read affected her. And so now the second issue, Can
we approach Your Honor?
Yeah, okay.
Thanks so much, C. Malone. And I've just learnt, thanks so much for the coffee on buymeacoffee.com, C. Malone. I've just learnt, because I can see your name now. I thought C. Malone was a pun name, because it sounds like seem alone, like that guy seems alone, but it's not. That is your real name, C. Malone. Well, we hope you've got some company tonight, C. Malone. If not, we're all here for you, holding up the tent. Yeah, no, thanks so much for the coffee. And to everyone else, just a reminder, if you do want to support the channel on True Crime Metrix, the best place to do that this month is buymeacoffee.com/True Crime Metrix. What else have we got? That's basically it. But please do leave a like on the video and make sure to subscribe to the channel. We need to push up those subscribers, because we're about to start a big couple of weeks, right? Tomorrow we've got jury selection, Sarah Boone. Jury selection, Sarah Boone. Which means that we're about 2 days away from opening statements. Of course, we're going to be covering all that live on the Metrix platform channel. Fantastic place to be and watch that with all of us, with the Metrix family. Yes, no, it's going to be good, isn't it? So make sure, if you're not subscribed already, we're going to be doing daily streams. Daily streams. I mean, we do that pretty much anyway. Not last night, though. You know what time I went to bed last night? Midnight. Slept all the way through until 7 a.m. It was fantastic. I was supposed to do a stream, but I was just like, you know what? I'm not gonna. And it was great. It was fantastic. But today we're doing another late one. I'm not going to go too late. We're just getting this ball rolling on this Ezra McCandless direct testimony. It's quite lengthy, as you can imagine. But then we're going to also do her cross-examination, which is really great to see. It's not quite up to a ball-breaking standards of Juan Martinez in the Jodi Arias case, but this guy, Mr. DeFore, is it? he does a pretty good job. I just love his tone in the cross-examination. He's really good. And he's the guy that does the closing argument as well, which is also very good. Yeah. You know who else I watched today? The expert who testified about trauma on behalf of the defense and told us all about why Ezra would forget to tell the truth following the trauma. And I think we should cover that one as well, because he gets quite sciencey and he refers to a few other cases, and it is pretty interesting. But of course, he's a hired gun thug, you know. He's being paid $300 an hour or whatever it is, some large amount of money. I think it's more for testimony. So that's all coming. So do us a favor, like this video, subscribe to the channel. If you do want to support the channel with coffees, the best place to do that this month is buymeacoffee.com/True Crime Metrix. Thanks so much, guys. And thank you, C. Malone.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the objection is sustained on relevance. And so, Ms. Fishner, will continue.
All right, I want to ask you some questions about Alex and his feelings.
All right.
All right, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you an essay. Okay. I'm showing you again from Exhibit 6.
Vivian, cover who? You mean Jody? We did maybe 2 or 3, 4 videos on Jody a little while back. It's on the channel page. Where's the channel page? All right, let's
97, essay called Words, dated November 2016.
Yes.
All right. So again, looking at the typed and the handwritten pages, have you had an ability to look at them before and compare them?
Yes.
And is the typed version just make it easier to read?
Yes.
Okay. Now this essay was written before Alex met you, but have you read this essay?
Yes, I have.
And have you discussed it with Alex?
Yes.
Yes, we had a long discussion about the essay. I don't even think any of this is true. I think they were just gossiping and watching The Little Prince. Okay, so there's the channel page. Look at our fantastic channel page. Anyone out there? How many videos we got? 125 videos. And they're all so colorful and nice. But where's the Jodi Arias one? We have to scroll way back, way back. So much content, guys. And a lot of you have been here all the way through. We've got the Donna Adelson arrest video. That's very popular. There's a Jodi one. And we've got another Jodi one. And then Ryan Burns, who testified. Yeah, so there are Jodi videos out there, but we need to do more. Obviously, that's a huge trial. You know what I really want to do? I want to do a video covering her plan. I want to do a deep dive on her plan, because you got to say, we have to give her top marks for effort. How long does it take for someone to come up with something like that? You know, I'm going to stage a burglary in my grandparents' house, so when I take the gun, they won't notice it missing. Well, they will notice it missing, but it will be the burglar who stole it, and it's not with me. Then I'm going to rent a car from Reading Airport, drive down to Southern California to see a couple of my old flames, borrow some gas cans off them. Then I'm going to drive to Pasadena and do something there and get my nails done, head into Starbucks, get a strawberry frappuccino, and then pretend to go to Vegas and Utah. But I'm really going to go down to Mesa, and then I'll hit the eye, whatever it is, on the Grand Canyon, and just the level of thought that went into that. How do you come up with that? I'd love to see some of the stuff that she, decided against. I mean, there must have been other ideas where she thought, no, that wouldn't be smart. But yeah, no, we do have some Jodi content, but not enough. Not enough. Anyway, let's get back to Ezra. Hi, Esmeralda. How you doing?
Is this the typed version of the essay called Words?
Yes.
All right. Looking at the second paragraph of that essay, can you read the second paragraph?
Are you speaking of the paragraph that starts with yet?
No, this paragraph that starts with "Do I wish," right on the top. So
All right. Would you like me to read this?
yes, please.
Do I wish, desire to die? In a way, yes. In another, no. For the first, life is misery each day the same, exhausting. For the second, a wager of experiences that outweigh any present pain. The former is inexplicable. The latter is need of comment.
Okay, the next paragraph.
There is little I've enjoyed more than the physical intimacy, the contact under covers, whilst watching a film, for example. These have a way of grounding a shattered conscience. Regardless of any euphoria of reflection, her presence, her breath against me, the heaves of her chest cement me, pull me back together. Indeed, bliss is her heart beat felt.
All right, now, fair to say those words are not written about you. This journal is written before he met you.
Yes,
Did he express similar feelings towards you eventually in your relationship?
definitely.
Objection, relevance.
I'm an overrule. Go ahead.
Yes, he did.
All right. And does he continue in this essay to talk about depression?
Neverly, darling, we were just about to send out a search party. Soap, call the airport. Call off the choppers.
Yes.
What does he say at the top of this page, starting with the word "or"?
Or in formula, my emptiness is what prevents any fulfillment. Or again, my misery.
This is the other thing. Ezra acts like this super intellect, right? Deep discussions. My philosophies are in the sunshine philosophies. I lean towards my fluidity and then I lean back towards my femininity. And, you know, anyone else who doesn't get her is a fucking idiot, right? She's treating the jury like fucking idiots. She's treating the judge like fucking idiots. But when it comes down to it, she can't read, spell, type, dictate. You know, it's ridiculous. There's this one bit where she's reading something from Alex's texts and she gets to the word albeit, you know, it's all spelt together, ALBEIT. And obviously she doesn't know that, right? Because she sort of looks up at her attorney and then does in that rising intonation at the end of the question tone, you know, all she thinks it's French. She's like, all bien, all bien, and looks at the attorney like, is that right? All bien. And the attorney's like, it's albeit. And, you know, I guess everyone had a moment in their life. I seem to remember at some point in my life, I'd like to think I was a damn lot younger than she is now, where I saw the word albeit written as one word, and I thought, huh, so that's written as all one word then, huh? Because we say it like it's all be it, right? But Ezra had to learn that in court on the national news.
Blocks any happiness from occurring. Yet again, my illness makes a cure unattainable.
And-
How,
Okay, go ahead. You can.
how sad, huh?
Does he talk in this essay about philosophy and how that helps him?
Yes.
What does he say about that?
This is another thing that goes into the motive. Do you remember that comment she was making? I think it was to Jason, where she said she was talking about Alex and saying if he starts talking to me in that voice, you know, mocking me or saying like that voice that says I'm an idiot, you know, I'm going to punch him. So she's got anger about Alex ridiculing her in some mild way, you know. To Alex, it was probably just banter, frustrated banter, but still kind of, you know, loving. But Ezra really didn't like it. And I've just had a thought because obviously Alex is highly intelligent, right? Spends all day, every day, writing these long texts, studying. Everyone around him said he was going places. He's going to be a PhD, but by the time he's 26, you know, and go on to be having a professorship in philosophy and teach others, right? So Ezra, it seems, was able to fool a lot of people into believing what she saw herself as, right? Which was this special person, this insightful, deep person that was true to herself, right? Of all this stuff, you know. She seeks to impress, is my point. And that might be with her style, her identity, her looks, or her intellect, right? And possibly Alex was just like, you're not, you know, she knew that Alex knew that she wasn't that smart because she can't fucking read, you know. Maybe that was part of the motive,
That you can just summarize it if you remember it.
part of the anger, you know, because just wanting to get back with Jason, well, you could do that without killing him. There was another thing, right? And I know, yes, she wanted to be the victim and have this horrible thing happen to her because then hero Jason would be there to wrap his big medic arms around her, you know. But there was anger. And where is that anger coming from? Well, maybe it's because Alex Woodworth knew that she was a fucking idiot.
Philosophy is kind of a vessel for him.
And by a vessel, what do you mean?
A vessel for is what I considered pain.
Okay. Did he say that philosophy was like a way out or something that he could
Yes.
escape into? And at the very end, in his essay, after he talks about escaping into it, what does he say?
He says,
And so, starting with those words.
and so. Do you mean pity?
And so is right at the top here. You see that? Where it says and it's okay. Maybe there's an overlay over the top, but she can see it. And then she's like, do you mean pity me? It's funny that sentence should begin pity me, right? Pity me.
Pity me?
No,
And so. Do you mean pity me?
the paragraph before that.
All right. And so my attempt to escape is futile. I am trapped by the very trapped I was caught by, the longing to be otherwise, that alone. Yet that is what I am, alone. My loneliness even prevents socialization. Too many times I have heard, you didn't look like you wanted to talk. Entirely because I longed for that very connection I failed to even be recognized as feeling alone because of how alone I felt. Pity me, I refuse to utter such words. Instead, my only hope is to be as alone as I feel, so I can.
Thank you.
Alex was 24. Vivian. What else did you say? Alex was 19, right? A deep sexual perversion is developed over time. How freaky were you at 19, Law? I don't think he was that freaky, to be honest. She's the freaky one. She starts going on about how she was encouraging him to express himself. It's like, get real. He just wanted to fuck you, you know? It was probably the first, consistent sex on tap he'd had available to him, possibly. Or, I mean, just because Court Fox came in and gave testimony the other day, and remember he did that thing where, oh, well, Alex, as soon as he got over that initial thing of, yay, I have a girlfriend, I didn't see him for weeks. you know?
Were there other times that Alex Woodworth wrote about being lonely, empty, and misery? Did that theme continue in his writings?
It continued. Yes.
Okay. Damn, 14. Well, let me ask you this first. Before I get to the themes of loneliness and misery.
What do you think of tonight's necklace on the attorney, Leslie?
In his writing.
Yes.
I don't know if it's a mushroom, an umbrella, or what.
Your relationship eventually changed from being friends and confidants who went on walks and discussed philosophy into something else.
Yes.
Why don't you tell us about that?
Alex and I started slow. We held hands, we hugged, and we shared a few kisses, and then eventually we became partners.
And were you still
What's slow to her? Like 2 days, 3 days?
living with Jason during this time?
Yes.
When you say you became partners, can you just explain?
Amy, she's not deep. She's just pretend deep. There's no depth to this woman at all. There's one thing on the surface, nothing beneath, and the one thing on the surface is herself. I mean, she's just it's just amazing. And all of this caring with animals and good with kids bullshit. Fuck that. That's not real. That's all part of her act. And she probably doesn't even know she's doing it. She believes her own shit.
What kind of partner you mean?
Sexual partners.
Okay.
She thinks that she's really deep, and anyone who can't see it in her is stupid. But really, everyone's looking at her going, you're not deep at all. We know people that are deep, and they're not like you, you know? And you know what's a great thing about being deep? Humility, you know? Unless you have humility, you're not deep at all. You're shallow as fuck.
And did he express desires for you to be vulnerable to him?
Absolutely, yes.
I'm going to show you another essay of his. I'm just waiting to get it out of the book.
Yes.
Okay. What is the title of this essay?
In quotes, it says, "Come as you are, flaws and all."
What's the date that this essay was written?
October 29th, 2017.
And again, is the typed version the same as the handwritten version?
Yes.
First of all, looking at the very top of this essay, Come As You Are.
Yes.
Okay. I just want to ask you, without having you read the whole top, you notice that he talks about Caputo, Abraham, and God. And,
Yes.
And the Abrahamic.
I always thought it was Kurt Cobain that wrote that. You know? Guess I was wrong.
Story of Isaac and sacrifice. Is that what that relates to?
Yes, it does.
Okay. And was Caputo, or just tell us about Alex and Caputo, or that book. Was that a book he was fond of?
He was very fond of that book. It was a staple in his reading and his philosophies.
Okay. Does he also, in this, the last sentence in this paragraph mentions, if I'll just read it for you, alongside the obligatory, I want to find a poetics of erotics. Did he connect Caputo, philosophy, and
Hey, and BDN. Good to see you.
eroticism?
Yes.
Objection, leading.
I don't think that's leading. I just asked if he connected them. It's a preliminary question.
Okay, I'll give you a little attitude, so I'm gonna
Thank you.
overrule, but
Okay.
it is leading.
What do you mean by that when you say he connected those things?
What I mean by that is that he wanted to explore them in his concepts of erotics. He wanted to explore the stories from Caputo and the novel about Abraham.
Okay. And going to later down the page, all right, as
Yes.
it continues, I'm going to ask you specifically, and I'm trying to make this easier for you to read, so you don't have to search.
Thank you.
Okay. Can you read that paragraph that starts with "Here I am"?
Here I am, come as you are, flaws and all. I wager myself and invite you to risk yourself.
All right, just stop right there. Do you know what he's writing about in this essay on October 29th?
Yes, I do.
How do you know?
I know because come as you are, flaws and all was a discussion we had between each other often. It was something he would say to me, he would text to me and ask of me all of the time.
Okay. And go ahead and keep reading that.
All of this is needed. I cannot command you to come unless I risk the same. In this phrase, I occupy both the Abrahamic, here I am, and the divine, come. If either parts fails, erotics fails, even if it succeeds.
All right, keep going.
If I do not risk myself, I reveal the desire to possess.
See, this is what happens when a philosophy professor sends you a booty call, right? It's not going to be an invitation to Netflix and chill. Let's try and read it again. Here I am, come as you are, flaws and all. I wager myself and invite you to risk yourself. All of this is needed. I cannot command you to come unless I risk the same. In this phrase, I occupy both the Abrahamic, here I am, and the divine, come. If either part fails, erotics fails. Even if it succeeds, if I do not risk myself, I reveal the desire to possess. I am seducing, not loving. If I do not invite you to risk yourself, I become the ethical fool, the willing sacrifice. I am committed, but to someone who does not love me. Only by you coming naked to my call, essentially being naked, something erotic. Yet the cold truth is that I can never know if you've come naked, something, and it is a feat to come, flaws and all. Have you actually responded? Maybe he should have gone with Netflix and chill, you know, or you wanted Netflix and chill? I brackets bone, close bracket.
Seducing, not loving. If I do not invite you to risk yourself, I become the ethical fool, the willing sacrifice. I am committed, but to someone who doesn't love me.
What's he talking about there? Committed, but to someone who doesn't love him.
Objection. Calls
Sustained.
for speculation.
Did he discuss with you what that line meant, that he's committed, but to somebody who doesn't love me?
Yes, we had this
And that really pretty much is it, you know. And Dean says, but how is this supposed to help her defense? He was a cannibal and he was going to eat me. I feared for my life, so I defended myself. That's pretty much it. You know, that really is what it's come down to. And they're going to go through all his texts and find these little phrases about cannibalism or stuff that could be interpreted as dark. Of course, that's completely rebutted by anyone that knows him. I'm surprised they didn't bring in one of his teachers or mentors. You know, that would have been interesting to testify.
this discussion, as we did in many of our discussions, about that I was still in a relationship.
Many of our discussions, so many discussions, many of our discussions. You know, what is it with these kids? That, I mean, she was only with Jason for 6 months, right? That is not a long time for anything. I mean, and the affair without Alex was only for a small part of that, and then she killed him. So how many of these many discussions were there, Ezra? I mean, even if there was one a day, 1 4-hour philosophy discussion a day, that would be maybe 50 if you did one every single day. I mean, is that many? I guess you could call that many, but she's making it sound like there's decades, many discussions, long into the night discussions.
Relationship essentially with Jason. So he felt that because I was still in that relationship, I was not fully committed to just him.
This essay ends with him saying, we hide our flaws and it is a feat to come flaws and all. Have you actually responded? Do you know what he's referring to there?
Yes.
Okay, can you tell the jury that?
What he is saying there is that it's hard to bare yourself to someone completely, to be vulnerable.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
It's all right, Sam, but Chris McCandless, the guy that Into the Wild was about, and Ezra decided to take his name to, what did she say? Honor him. He's changing his name. He's changing his name to Smith. It's Chris Smith from now on. It's not as catchy. You know, there'll probably be no more book deals for Chris Smith, but at least he won't have this association going with him into the future.
Go ahead.
That's all right. He asked of me to be vulnerable with him, to essentially come to him, flaws and all. And I've often struggled bearing my flaws easily and openly. So it was this discussion and this essay we read together was about how I was and trying to bear myself to him. And as he was asking, because he bared himself to me, that I should do the same.
Now, let's talk.
Well, this is the thing, Bob. I agree. He should have absolutely just called her up and said, hey, do you want to fuck? But, you know, Alex was tricked into thinking that Ezra liked him because of his scholarly fashion of writing, right? So even on a come round to bone message, he feels the need to represent himself like that. I mean, I know that he enjoyed writing like that anyway, but he knew that, or he thought that that's one of the things that Ezra liked about him. Of course, it wasn't, because Ezra doesn't like anything about anybody, because they don't really exist in Ezra's mind, right? When Ezra gets that message, that booty call in a really scholarly fashion, she's not thinking, hey, this guy's so I'm so into this guy because he writes in this really scholarly fashion. She's thinking, this is great because I've made him care enough about me that he writes in this really scholarly fashion, even if it's just for a fuck. So that must mean that I'm worth a lot. You know, it's something like that. All of the things that she judges that are outside of herself are about herself in some way. There is no other people in Ezra's mind.
Talk a little bit more about your relationship and its development. So this is written in late October.
Yes.
In that time, in October, just what's the status of your relationship with him yet? Is it sexual? Is it on its way to being sexual? What's going on?
It's at that time we were becoming intimate. Yes. We were very much so falling in love at that time.
Oh yeah, well that sounds good on paper, doesn't it? Yeah, real good on paper, Ezra. You're incapable. You have no idea. You have no fucking idea. Yes, we were becoming intimate. Well, how does that happen? Had you had sex or not? You know, when do you become? When are you still becoming intimate? Well, isn't that when you're taking each other's clothes off? Because once it's in, that's it.
And did there come a time where you spent the night at his house?
Yes.
Do you remember roughly when that first time was?
Roughly, yes, I do remember.
Okay, why don't you tell us?
It was late October.
Could it have been the
November.
beginning of October?
Oh, yes.
I'm sorry, not late October. Could it be?
Beginning of November.
That's what I meant to say.
Yes.
I'm getting a little confused. All right. And was Jason out of town when that happened?
Yes, he was.
You've seen Alex's roommates come in and testify, his
Yeah.
former roommates?
Yes.
All right. Was Dave Stoiding a roommate at that time?
Yes, he was.
Had you ever met him?
No. We kind of avoided each other.
Okay. And what about the other roommate, Matt Schreiner? Did he eventually become a roommate too? Or
He was
a roommate?
he was a roommate at the time. Yes.
And did you socialize with him at all?
Off and on, we would socialize. We met each other at the coffee shop a few times.
Okay. So when you stayed over with him, tell us how your relationship was developing at that time.
At that time, it was becoming very intimate, is how I can describe it. We at that time had become.
Again, what is all of this becoming? Because at the time, it was becoming very intimate. Yeah. What does that mean? That you were having sex a lot, or you were trying new holes, or what?
Sexual partners, and we were sharing with each other a lot of ourselves.
Despite the fact that you were close and sharing things,
Yes.
was Alex still writing in a way that reflected and talking to you in a way that reflected misery or depression or unhappiness? Or
Yes, he was.
I'm showing you an essay in Exhibit 697
Yes.
called "The Failure to Write," dated December 21st, 2017.
Yes.
Are you familiar with that essay?
Yes.
And is it the same as the handwritten? Is the typed version the same as the handwritten?
Yes.
Now, in this
Yeah, I thought he was dead. Actually, Sam, I had that thought just after I said that.
essay, without reading, can you tell us, or just, I mean, not reading the whole thing, paragraph that says this is supposed to help my misery. Can you read that paragraph?
Yes, this is supposed to help ease my misery, but it only draws it into reflection. I want to say so much to you, but I cannot bring myself to speak. The words, if said to you, would only hurt more. They would hurt you and exuberate my own pain.
Is that exacerbate?
Exacerbate.
That's okay. Then the words that he says
So we went from exaggerate to exuberate to exacerbate. She can't read.
after that, he goes on. Can you read that?
I know that I am not your priority. I am secondary to you. I believe that you love me, but your love for another is what you place your faith in. I am loved, but in a way that you can always give up. You believe that things can get better with the love you prioritize, and that means you believe you will abandon me someday. I am in so much pain because you love me, and still you hope to abandon me to my loneliness again. Can you see that your desire for your priority is also a desire for my annihilation? Can I show you this? Or is my only hope to be that your priority ceases to be so far the development of my own significance? Can you realize that I am your significant other in a way that I benefit from?
Now, this essay was written on December 21st, 2017.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to come back in a little bit to something that happened in December of 2017. Actually, I'm going to show you another essay. This is from December 20th.
Well said, Neverly. Fuck Oktoberfest. It's Coffee Fest over here. Yeah. Do consider sending a coffee all the way to Portugal, or two. You know, we've got one for soap, decaf, one small decaf coffee for soap, and one extra large, double tall, skinny, pumpkin cinnamon latte for me. No, I don't drink that shit. Black coffee. No sugar. No, but yes, buymeacoffee.com/True Crime Metrix. Excellent. Thank you very much.
6, 2017.
Yes.
What is the title of that essay?
An Obsession with Misery, December 26, 2017.
Okay. And is this the typed version again? Is it the same as the handwritten?
Yes.
Okay, this is short.
Yes.
Okay, why don't you read this?
All right. Alongside my obsession with erotics, I am possessed to write about misery, the failing of happy consciousness. In all honesty, suffering is among my greatest interests.
Okay, just go ahead. Keep going.
I am in love with the phenomenology of illness, both mental and physical, but also with the subpathological suffering. The plight of a guilty woman who is sexually promiscuous interests me as much as those with cancer, depression, and dysphoria. The anxiety of perfectionism, of a short prognosis, of lifelong uncurable symptoms is a game, as that is an overworked college student with a cumulative final. Each differs from the others, but that there is misery remains constant. Love has been interwoven into my life, but so has object misery been. I recall my first love.
I'm going to stop you
Okay.
there because he is talking. Did he discuss this essay with you?
Yes.
And he goes on in the essay to talk about other people and their misery?
Yes, he does.
All right. And do you know, or did he talk to you?
I really feel for the jury in this case. The judge said that they were incredibly attentive and listening and note taking and everything like that. I mean, it must have been tough though. Some trials I see and I think, wow, I'd have loved to have been there and seen the whole thing live as a jury member or in the gallery or what. This isn't one of them. I do like the trial, but I can't imagine, especially being a jury member where, you know, it's not really you know, it's frowned upon to zone out. If you're in the gallery, you can zone out like her mother does a lot. Her mother's on her phone a lot in the gallery. I mean, what is she doing?
You about why he was writing about misery near the end of December.
He was himself feeling a lot of internal pain and loneliness, even well as we had a relationship together.
So let me ask you, when you first met him, we talked about this a little earlier,
Yes,
and he was writing about cannibalism, right?
yes, he was.
All right. Do you recall, did that theme continue in his discussions with you?
Often, yes.
And did he write about that in some of his other essays?
Yes.
This is an essay going back to August of 2017. What's the name of this essay
Dead to Me.
and the date?
August 6th, 2017.
Is the typed version the same as the handwritten?
Yes.
And looking at, I'll get this up to the right place, 1 minute. To say I'm not great at using this Elmo. This essay, can you just read the first sentence of that paragraph?
Yes. Because you are dead to me, this love fails to be truly erotic now, though it may have been. Instead, we are speaking of cannibalism.
All right, so.
See, you see, it was a threat. It was a threat to say, if you don't sleep with me, I'm going to eat you.
Besides cannibalism in his writings, aside from that, this is in August, we've already talked about it.
Yes.
Did he continue to have these discussions with you about cannibalism beyond writing about them?
All of the time, yes.
What would he, did his expressions or his talks about cannibalism go beyond?
I don't know if he was, Vivian, to be honest. I think, you know, even Ezra said he started off pretty vanilla, missionary, standard, and then she rolled over. That seems to be the extent of his depravity, which ain't much. You know, maybe we should talk to another one of his lovers, but the thing is, I'm not even sure there are any. He was super excited to get some strawberry ice cream between the sheets, you know. You know, seemed like a pretty new thing to him. I'm just reading between the lines, though.
Beyond the esoteric or the philosophical from what you heard from him?
Yes.
Why don't you tell us about that?
It went beyond philosophy at points when we would discuss erotics of cannibalism, and cannibalism in the sense of individuals in history and through the past, and even artists who have partaken in cannibalism because of their ultimate desire to consume that individual.
Yeah, Victoria girl, maybe we should do that. Should we try that? Let's see what that's like.
Power, or to consume that individual so that that person they had loved would never leave them.
We can follow it like that, can't we, guys?
So, in other words, I'm not quite understanding what you mean. The person that they loved would never leave them. Could you just explain a little bit more what?
Or should we do 1.25? What are people thinking?
What
Yes.
Alex told you and what he meant about that?
We specifically spoke of individuals, lovers, that partook in cannibalism, and he consumed his partner, so that in essence, by consuming his partner, eating him, because he was passed away, he
This is 1.25, guys.
was never away from him. He had absorbed his essence.
What is the title of this essay
Violation,
and the date?
August 9th, 2017.
So again, is he writing about you in this essay?
No.
Okay, so I'm going to show you just a brief part of this essay. In this essay, is he discussing a prior relationship with him?
Yes.
All right. Can you read this where it says distract me?
Yes. Distract me is dehumanizing, unhuman. It is the request of a mind to flesh. It is cannibalism. The words haunt me, confirming that you had died to me. I was lift with a revenant. A facsimile?
Facsimile?
A facsimile of a person who spoke of a warm caress while offering a vampire touch.
Now, in that essay, when he said I was lift with a revenant, first of all, in your discussions with him, was lift actually intended to be left? I was left with a revenant?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I'm asking about. All right. And in that discussion, can you explain what a revenant, or not what it is necessarily, but what Alex said a revenant was?
Yes, we often talked about a revenant. When we would speak of a revenant or revenant, we would discuss how essentially what a revenant is an individual come back from the dead, a specter or a ghost of sorts. They have come back to do unfinished business, or it is called like retribution, or it's unfinished business essentially is what a revenant comes back for. It was a topic we often talked about because he would tell me he considered himself a revenant.
And again, from Exhibit 6.
Yeah, but he just watched the Leonardo DiCaprio movie. You know, that was what, 2016?
97, I'm showing you another essay.
Yes.
And can you tell the jury what the title, why don't you tell me what the title is here of this essay and the date?
From the Past, Memories, November 2017. Reworked from July 24th, 2017.
Again, is the typed the same as the handwritten?
Yes.
He's worse than Jodie, Cassandra.
I'm going to ask you to read it from where it says, I know now. It just the next few sentences.
I know now that you wanted to change me and be changed by me. You asked for my flesh.
Sorry, I had that little.
Thank you. You asked for my flesh and offered me yours, but so that we could give and receive back new flesh. I am yours, become mine. I mistook the innocent play, your desire for my hunger. I saw cannibalism where you asked to be seen erotically.
Okay, let's stop there. When he says, I saw cannibalism, when you asked to be seen erotically, do you know what he's writing about?
Objection calls for speculation.
Sustained.
Did you discuss with Alex what he was writing about?
Yes.
Why don't you tell us what that was about?
When I discussed this with Alex, he was speaking of, he was taking the other person in, he was consuming them wholly. Where they wanted to be seen erotically, lovingly, he was seeing them as something to take in, to possess.
Did Alex tell you whether or not that reference was about you?
Yes.
And what did he say?
He told me that it was in reference of me because of parallels of someone he was with in the past.
I'm going to show you again the beginning of the same essay.
Yes.
Let me get it to this. Can you read this?
I am warm. I am kind. I am.
$100 says that Ezra McCandless has never fucking heard of Alan Watts. That might have been able to help her. Jesus Christ.
Good. When did I become so dull inside? I am not warm. I am so gloomy. I am not kind. I am so distant. I'm not good. I'm aberrant.
Aberrant, is that aberrant?
Aberrant.
Okay.
I've gotten too good at being these things. Am I seen as a person anymore? They aren't masks, though.
All right. Let me ask you about there where he's saying he's aberrant and it's not a mask. Can you explain, or did Alex discuss with you what he meant by that?
He discussed with me about masks often.
1 minute, please.
He's talking about figurative masks, you know. Hawthorne. No man can wear one, what is it? No man can wear one face to himself and another to the population without finally becoming bewildered as to which one is true. But she's trying to say, it was a leather mask. He brought out this leather mask and told me to put it on. And then he said he was going to take what he wanted. And that because consent didn't matter. Because he's a nihilist. And then he flew into a rage. And he was red and puffy in a leather mask.
All right, and can you tell me what he would tell you about masks? Or not tell me, tell all of us.
Yes. What he told me about masks is that he often seen others and he often felt himself that he had to put on a mask to present himself a certain way so that when he was out in public or when he was at work, he would put on a certain face.
Yeah, so do I, Netherly, but I hate the ones with the plinky plunky music. You know, a lot of people put Alan Watts stuff onto YouTube and they put this fucking, you know, chimes in the background and like a fucking Peruvian pitch pipe or something. And it's just like, dude, I've come here to listen to the man, okay? Take your plinky plunky woo-woo sticks and get out of here.
And often he felt that it was always hard to always have to wear a mask with certain people.
All right, in the same essay, I'm
Yes.
going to go to one more area. All right, and I'll direct you over to the words "my touch." Can you see that?
Yes, I can.
Okay, why don't you read that?
My touch is a request. Feel nothing but me. Let me give death a face to you. Has my body ever taken someone's from there and gave it back different? I remember holding her with my coat, warming her already too human face. Did it consume her as she did me? Or was my futile attempt to possess but kindling? I am not warm, but I can offer myself to your blaze.
Okay, I'll let you to stop there. Again, did Alex discuss with you what he meant? And I want to ask specifically about where he says, "Let me give death a face to you." Did he talk about that with you?
He did talk about that with me.
And what did he mean?
He wasn't talking about death as in looking at the other individual and he's seen death. He was, in essence, speaking of how loving that individual was as death. It's a hard thing to just outright and say.
Okay. I want to ask you about the sexual aspects of your relationship with Alex during this time, meaning late October, November, December. All right. So during this period of time, can you tell us some of the, and I know it's very intimate, but some of the details of your sexuality or the sexuality or sex between you and Alex Woodworth?
Alex and I, when we began our relationship, sex was very vanilla, I can say.
What does vanilla mean?
Well,
in case people haven't heard that expression.
What vanilla means is that it was your average sex. It was missionary. You're what a lot of people would describe as normal sex.
Okay. And during this period of time, was there some progression from the pure vanilla into some differences early now, November, December?
Yes, there were. I encouraged him to explore himself and things he might want. And we started practicing and doing these new things that he wanted to express himself.
Okay. First of all, in terms of sexual position, was there a preferred sexual position from Alex's that Alex told you he preferred?
Yes.
What was that?
It was called prone, as he informed me. And
were you face to face during sex?
No.
As he informed me. Do me a favor. Yes, he took me into a room and he threw a Kierkegaard book onto the bed. And he said, lay on your belly.
No, rarely.
Okay, what position were you in?
From behind is what you can call it. He would often express this desire for it.
And were there objects he would use that impaired your sight at all?
Yes, he preferred to have my glasses off and he enjoyed to blindfold me.
Was there
You didn't request that?
anything specific about lightness versus darkness?
Yes, he liked it to be either soft light, a candle, or he preferred it to be absolutely dark. He enjoyed kind of the mystery of it all in the dark.
How did you feel about that?
I thought it was interesting and exciting, and I also felt I am very visually impaired without my glasses, so I get a little uncomfortable at times without them.
So let me ask this. Did Alex refer to you as a boy?
Yes,
Do you know why he referred to you as a boy? Did he tell you why?
yes.
Can you tell us about that?
Objection, relevance.
I'm going to go ahead. Again, there's a limited purpose.
Yes,
so I
this is
hope
for
that you're
her
within that.
feelings.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this has been out there quite a bit already in front of the
All
jury. All right. What were your feelings, or what did
It's not exactly doggy style, Esmeralda. It's the woman is flat, just flat on the bed, but facing down.
he tell you about him referring to you as a boy?
Well, as our relationship progressed, I told him about how I identified in the past as almost strictly masculine. And he preferred that I presented myself in a masculine way. He often told me how confident I looked and how much he was attracted to me because he could call me a boy.
It's so funny, she never went into pegging. Do you think she was into pegging as when she was masculine, Ezra? Maybe that would have been a good way to make Alex leave. Or not, who knows?
His boy and present that way.
Did you present yourself as a male to Alex?
Yes, I did.
What about the word boy specifically? How did you feel about his use of the word boy?
The word boy specifically, at first it was gender, as you can call it, but then the word became more possessive. I was his boy. It felt objectifying at times.
And what do you mean by objectifying?
I felt as if I was an object, that I was not Ezra McCandless, essentially, but I was just his boy.
This whole really looking at the jury thing is so Jodi Arias as well, isn't it? That's another big similarity.
Judge, I need a break. I'm sorry. I would like to take a short break. I need to take a short break.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a 10-minute recess. And so let's.
What's her problem? Is she going to shit herself or something? She looks like she could suffer from IBS, right? I need to take a break right now. I gotta go. Listen, we're having a break. Okay, Judge? I need a break. I need to take a short break. She's gonna shit herself.
Judge, I need a break. I'm sorry. I would like to take a short break. I need to take a short break.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a 10-minute recess. And so let's excuse me for that.
Just runs out of the room. Move!
All rise.
Ms. McCandless, you have referred to some essays from a book called Personal Notes and Research Ideas of the Quest to Understand.
Yes.
And
Okay.
I inadvertently, I didn't realize that the original was not in evidence. So I'm showing you what's been marked, it's exhibit 698.
Yes.
Is that the orange notebook that contains those essays you've testified about?
Yes.
Thank
No
you.
objection to its submission, Your Honor.
All right.
I used to identify as a boy, and he would call me boy. He would say, "Hello, boy. Get into the position, boy." And he would turn all of the lights out and open the book and read in the dark, pitch black room where he's reading, telling me to get into position, calling me a boy. And it was objectifying. And I told him, I don't really identify like that anymore. And he said, "You will be my boy." What the fuck? Just what a load of bollocks.
And what's that, Exhibit 698?
Yes.
Okay. Exhibit 698 will be received, again, subject to court's pretrial rulings.
Now, I'm also been showing you what was previously marked as number, I believe, 653. I just want to make sure. And this is a copy of the
Joanne Georgiadis. Good to see you again, Joanne. How you been doing? Keeping well, I hope.
book, the original of the book called Extra Scriber.
Yes.
I'm going to ask you to please turn to page 32 in this book, or maybe I'll do it for you just to make it. So first of all, are there page numbers at the bottom of each page?
Yes.
All right. On page 32, do you see a doodle at the bottom of that page?
Yes.
What is that doodle?
Sorry. This doodle is a dog.
Okay, who drew it?
I did.
Do you remember when you drew it?
Yes.
Can you tell the jury when you drew it?
I drew it when we were together.
This doodle is a dog. I've lost track of why we are here. I thought we were in court on a first-degree murder trial after a young man was brutally slain on a muddy road and left for dead and wasn't found for, what was it, 2 days, 3 days? And I thought we were here to, figure out whether she's guilty of first-degree intentional homicide or guilty of first-degree reckless homicide, or just where we're standing on it, so that we can protect the community and punish the accused. But now we're looking at a doodle of a dog, and she's crying.
Together sharing a cup of coffee, and he was writing and I was reading as he was writing.
All right. And then turning to page 41 in the journal, is there a doodle at the bottom of page 41?
Yes.
And when did you doodle that?
I doodled this when we were together yet again, and it's a bug of sorts.
All right. And then turning to page 181.
Hey, T. Cancella. Yeah, this is a common plight in the Metrix community. People's spouses are starting to worry because whoever's watching True Crime Metrix on their earbuds in the corner is just laughing to themselves quietly, and the spouse begins to worry. They say, "What is wrong with you? What are you watching?" We get this kind of message a lot. I think it's great.
At the bottom of page 181, is there another doodle?
Yes, there is.
And when did you doodle that?
I doodled this yet again when we were spending time together, and he was explaining to me, and we were talking back and forth about this essay.
Oh, sorry to keep pausing, guys, but Victoria Girl, the headlamp really does complete the image. I mean, the image was bad enough thinking about Alex mounting Ezra with the book. Chapter 16. But of course, in the dark room, he's going to need a headlamp as well. He's got to have at least one hand free for the book and another hand for fondling. So he can't use a torch. Headlamp, of course. Oh, I want to draw a cartoon of this. Do you think we can do that? I'm going to try tomorrow. I'm going to try and draw a cartoon of this scene. It's just too funny.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any further questions about your doodles.
Thank you.
The Extra Scriber. Okay. All right. I'm showing you must have been marked as Exhibit 651. Is this another journal of
Yes.
Alex Woodworth?
Yes.
And just what's the name of that journal?
This journal, its notes, October 19th, 2017 through Dream Tree, Simple and Elegant.
And turning to the first page, is there a doodle at the bottom of that page?
Yes.
Did you draw that?
Yes.
Do you remember when you drew it?
Yes, I remember when he asked me to read this, and I drew a pumpkin with some hearts.
Yeah, I drew a pumpkin with some hearts. So we've got the dog and the pumpkin with hearts. Why are we looking at this?
Page 25. Is there a doodle on page 25?
Yes, a cat.
All right, page 27. Is there a doodle on page 27?
Yes, a doodle of a peach.
Page 32?
Yes, this is a fox.
And page 35?
Yes, there's a doodle.
All right, and were all of those doodles drawn when you were with Alex Woodworth at times he was talking about the pages on the journal?
Yes.
I'm going to show you what was previously marked as exhibit number 654. Oh, yeah, on this one? Okay, I'm going to show you this book. Let me try and get the whole book in. Oops. Bearing in mind that I'm not great at this. Okay.
Thanks so much for the like, Esmeralda. How are we doing on that? We've got to keep our 100% rating up. And by the way, guys, another 13 viewers, and we're going to break 3 figures without the Adelson content, which we will be getting back to soon. You know, just, you know, we had our break, and then we're starting Sarah Boone. And then, you know, it's what, a week tomorrow, we've got the hearing, right? Or is it Tuesday? Whatever it is, the 15th, which is also Soap's 8th birthday for Donna Adelson's hearing. So it's going to be birthday party Soap, back to the Adelson's party, everyone's party, Soap party, Adelson party. It's going to be great. It's going to be a great True Crime Metrix special. So wait, you know, just make sure you subscribe to the channel. I know everyone here has already subscribed to the channel, but, you know, some people are going to watch this video tomorrow, and they might not be. So you, if you're watching this video tomorrow, subscribe to the channel, because what are we doing here? We're saving people's lives. That's what we're doing here. Yeah, so, and like the video, share the video, buy me a coffee on buymeacoffee.com, True Crime Metrix, and that's about it. And Discord, come and join us on the Discord, where all of the good stuff happens. A lot of people think that Discord is a paid-for platform, but those people are wrong. It's absolutely free. There's a link down there in the description. You click it, you're into the community. There's a lot of sharing going on. There's a lot of caring going on. There's laughing. There's, you know, all sorts of information going on in there. It's fantastic. And there's a lot of people. All of the coolest people in the True Crime Metrix community are already on Discord. So why aren't you? Yeah, loads of links in the description, guys. We've got Patreon, we've got buymeacoffee.com, we've got merch, we've got all the True Crime Metrix merch. Hey Neville, you seen the True Crime Metrix merch yet? I wish I knew how to just send you something for free, Neville. But I don't. But you know, we can work it out. But no, we got logo merch now. We've got Everett merch. It's fantastic. Look at all that merch, guys. True Crime Metrix. What are you doing, True Crime Metrix? We're gonna make another one. More merch. We got little logos. We got big logos. We got jumpers. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Hoodies. Got the whole lot, guys. The whole lot. Cups, mugs, fantastic mugs. Yeah. Also, a link in the description is to the channel Rottweiler Interrogations. Rottweiler Investigations. That's what it's called, which is where we're getting all of the Ezra McCandless courtroom footage from. But they've got, if you like to watch courtroom footage without commentary, that's a great place to do it, because he's got some great trials, and I don't know if it's a he or they, or he or she or them or it, on the channel. Anyway, back to Ezra.
Okay, I've been showing you what's previously been marked, I think, as exhibit number 654.
Yes.
What is this?
This is Soren Kierkegaard, Fear and Trembling.
Oh, they're so happy with that fucking book cover, aren't they? Look at that book cover. prone position. He suggested the prone position, and he had to explain to me what it was. They're going to leave that picture up there for 5 minutes straight now, aren't they?
This particular book, did Alex discuss this book with you much?
We discussed it often, and we discussed it the most during very intimate moments of our relationship.
I want you to explain to the jury what you mean by him discussing them during intimate moments in your relationship.
This book was the book he would read from as we were having sex, and he would read passages from this book.
Was there another book he also read passages from when you were engaged in sex with Alex?
Yes, he would read from Caputo,
Do you know what the name of that book is?
Hoping Against Hope.
I think that we were talking about Alex referring to you as boy a little bit earlier.
Yes,
Did he also write about that in his journals?
he did, yes.
And I'm going to show you an essay from his journals. That's 1 minute. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get the right part. All right. I think we were talking about boy, and I'm going to show you a journal entry and ask you what the name of that entry is.
Yes. When I Lost Myself, November 29th through 30th, 2017.
Is it fair to say this is a pretty long essay?
Yes.
And have you looked at the handwritten compared to the typed, and are they the same?
Yes, I have.
Okay. How many typed pages are there in this essay? I guess I should ask you that first before
Yes.
we go to it.
There are 31 typed pages.
Do you mean there are 5 typed pages, number twice?
Oh,
31?
yes.
That's a mistake.
I was reading the bottom number
Okay.
instead of counting, but there are 5.
Okay. I'm not going to go through this whole essay with you.
Yes.
I just want to ask you one thing that's in the essay. Okay. On the second to last page, or page 4 of the typed version of the essay, can you please read that?
Yes. I do not mean to say that he is irrational for not running away with me. Rather, I mean his hopes for a potential. I fail to understand his love for an abusive partner, at least in ways specifically understand the desire for stability. All the more so because of his friendships are mediated by this relationship. To give up his current partner is to risk losing his friends. Furthermore, I understand his feelings of guilty. This issue is my lack of sympathy. I do not see what there is to feel guilty about. He cannot do as he wants, and thus there is no love. If he did as he wanted, even without doing evil, the relationship would end. There is no love. Love is not happening, and yet he loves. I do not understand, but still I hope to be understanding.
Did Alex Woodward discuss this journal entry with you?
Yes.
And that particular part which is referenced, what did he say to you about that?
Well, when he was writing this very long journal, he pointed this out, that he had been writing about me. And I noticed that instead of saying as you might, she or her, he was saying my masculine pronoun, his, him. He was talking about kind of his desires for our relationship and how he desired for my other relationship to end.
And I think, okay, I'll do that later.
Yeah, he was making his desires known to you. He did want your relationship to end because he wanted to be in a committed relationship with you and not feel like the second man. You know, he was trying to get that across to you. It wasn't possessive. And in fact, he was basically willing to put up with anything you did. Remember that St. Augustine quote? What is it? Love and do what you will. You know, love and do what you will. And even that, they're trying to change into a consent doesn't matter. Love and do what you will. Do you remember Mr. Nelson from opening statement? He just reads everything out like that. Love and do what you will. As in what I want. He's totally butchered St. Augustine. It's saying, I'll love you, you know, even if you're not nice. I wouldn't ask you to change. Because if I asked you to change, it would mean that I don't love you in your current state. And the state that you would change to wouldn't be you. So who would I be loving? You know, it's a nice thought. Love and do what you will.
Was there a particular phrase that Alex, a philosophical phrase that Alex frequently used?
Yes, he would often say to me, love and do as you will.
And in your mind,
Yes.
what, in your mind, well, first let me ask you this. What did Alex say that meant to him?
He said to me, in what I took from what we talked about, that this love and do as you will was a way to say, I will do what I want. I will love who I want. I will do what I need to do in love. And that essentially is he will take what he wants.
Okay. I'm showing you an essay about love and do what you will. What is it called?
Dilige et quod vis fact.
Do you know what language that is?
I believe it's French.
Okay. Regardless of what language it is, because I don't know, do you know what it translates to?
Love and do as you will.
All right. What's the date that this essay was written?
November 9th, 2017.
By this time, and is it the same as the typed handwritten version?
Yes.
By this time, was your sexual relationship with Alex, had you had sexual intercourse by this time?
Yes, we had sexual intercourse by that time.
Okay. And I'm not going to ask you to read the whole essay,
Yes.
but I'm going to ask specifically about this third paragraph and where it says, please forgive me. Okay. Can you read that part, just those two sentences?
Yes, please forgive me for moving like you. You who are so alive. I profane the very breaths I take, and undead hoping to pass for something other than a conscious corpse.
Hey, that's awesome, Neverly. Neverly's just ordered a white, large Metrix logo t-shirt. Awesome. I think you're customer number 1 on the Metrix logo brand. Congratulations, 00001.
My guilt is wanting love without having a heart.
And the next sentence?
I've half-heartedly tried to isolate myself from you, afraid I would taint you.
Okay. And then I'm going to move down. One second. I'm going to move down to the end of the page. Okay, I'm off the screen. I'm sorry. I'm going to get it on the screen because when I look down, it looks like it's on the screen, but it's not.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Yes, this last paragraph. Can you read that?
Yes. I was further contaminated, this all mutated. I wanted to be happy, but felt unworthy. I wanted to be loved, but refused to believe it possible. I wanted to be alive, but lacked a heart. And you hurt me. I hated myself through you, and you were a living death. Everything I said came to be a lie. I had to escape the monster I became with you. You did not deserve it, nor did I.
Did Alex talk to you about what he's referring to when he says I had to become the monster? I had to escape the monster I became with you?
Yes.
What is that?
In this conversation, we discussed how he felt, how we were continuing our relationship sexually, intimately, how wearing the masks to everyone else.
And what do you mean by masks? And you just explained that.
Wearing the masks as to seem a certain way with everyone, let's say out in public, but underneath the mask, there was a lot hidden.
All right, I'm going to ask you about one other line in this essay. This is near the end of the essay.
Yes.
And again, we're not going to read the whole thing, but I just would ask you to read the top sentence.
I am still afraid of myself, afraid I will come out again and hurt someone.
Now, when he said that, did you discuss what he meant by he was afraid he would come out and hurt someone?
Yes.
Okay, and continuing with that paragraph? No, I'm sorry, Mr. Nelson wants to say something. Why don't you tell the jury what he said to you about him saying he was afraid he would come out and hurt someone?
What he said to me about this in our discussion is he said to me how he was afraid he was going to take all. He was going to be greedy in the sense that if he wanted something, he was going to get what he wanted.
I'm going to refer you back to an earlier part of the essay, more in the beginning, that I forgot to read you, or
Yes.
forgot to ask you to read.
Yes.
So let me just make sure I have that on there, where it says, I've half-heartedly.
Yes. I've half-heartedly tried to isolate myself from you, afraid I would taint you, yet I love you. I am sorry for this failure on my part. I know my touch would kill you, yet I reach out. That is my sin, the violence of my flesh that I lack a soul to correct.
Okay, now, did he discuss that with you specifically?
Yes.
What did he tell you about that?
What he told me about this is that in our relationship, I expressed a lot of my anxieties and my uncertainties with my previous relationship, continuing relationship with Jason. He was expressing to me that he knew it was causing me anxiety to pursue this, to keep pursuing this relationship and what we were doing.
Oh, you were expressing your anxieties about your previous relationship with Jason. Is that right, Ezra? Is that why you lit up like a Christmas tree when he came into the courtroom? My God. Jesus. What was that word that we substituted for moist the other day? I can't remember what it was. Something was moist.
And he told me that at this point, it was that he didn't really necessarily care anymore, that he was causing this anxiety, that he was going to reach out anyways to me, that he was going to continue our relationship because that's what he wanted.
Now, did there come a time where Alex cut his wrist?
Yes.
Can you tell the jury about that?
There had been a time when I received some messages from Alex saying that he had harmed himself. He was asking me if I could drive him to a pharmacy or to help him out with this. And Jason at the time he asked me about it, and I told him Alex was hurt and Jason wanted to help. So I had gone over to Alex's house to help him, and that is when I seen what had happened, and Jason had patched him up, as he said.
When you say you saw what had happened, can you please describe that to the jury?
What I saw had happened was he had slit his wrist, and he's shown me that he had to use a t-shirt to kind of stifle the bleeding, and it was just a very ugly gash from what I looked at.
At a later date, did Alex tell you, first of all, at that time, when you were there with Jason, did he say, if you remember,
Yes.
what he said about cutting his wrist?
What he said to me about cutting his wrist is that he felt he was feeling depressed again, and that he felt like he was feeling dead inside.
Did he tell you that in front of Jason, or did he tell you that at a later date?
He told me that not in front of Jason, but kind of to the side. He pulled me to the side when we were talking.
Thanks so much for the super chat, Sam Bota. And Sam says, I narrated The Rational Male by Rollo Tomasi, Audible, because it stopped thousands of men from unaliving themselves because of EM types, Ezra McCandless types. Dan Markel, Alex would still be alive if they'd listened to it. The Rational Male by Rollo Tomasi. I'd be interested to read that, Sam. I haven't, or to listen to your Audible. Yeah. Are you? Yeah. Are you on Discord, Sam? Come and share a link on Discord. If you're not on Discord, it's free and everything. It's just a community. It's basically like a really fancy chat room for the Metrix community, and lots of things like this get shared on there. So that'll be good. Or send me a link to truecrimemetrics@gmail.com if that's more your thing. Yeah, it'd be good to have a look at. And thank you so much for the super chat, Sam. Good on you.
And again, I'm showing you another essay by Alex Woodworth from exhibit number 697. What is this essay called?
This essay is called Between Two Hands, January 20th through 22nd, 2018.
Is it the same as the handwritten version, the typed version?
Yes.
Is this in evidence
Yes.
already? Okay.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Exhibit 697, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you.
And again, I'm going to ask you to read a small portion of this larger essay. And I would ask you just the second paragraph. Can you read that?
Yes. Should I confess that I have a large gash on my left wrist, a self-inflicted wound that had severed nerves and nearly cut through tendons? For me, one hand can only feel and move in a limp, numb way.
Okay, I'm going to stop you. Did he discuss this essay with you?
Yes, definitely.
Did he literally mean that his left hand couldn't move anymore?
He could move it. He just said it felt different.
Okay. And is he referring in this essay, did he tell you that he was writing about the time where he had cut his wrist?
Yes.
And what did he specifically later tell you about cutting his wrist?
He told me he had done it kind of in a painful response to my rejection.
Later on in this essay, after he says limp, numb way, can we just go to where it says one of my hands? Yeah,
One of my hands has quit its status, almost as limp as corpse proper. It is no longer proper. It is a shameful and an advertising of my own lack of well-being. The reversibility of hands is gone. For me, one hand cannot feel. It is inactive, but it cannot be felt either. It is unpassive. I love you.
What does it say? I love you, Ted.
Yes, but
Do you know what Ted refers to?
there's no Ted, no.
Okay. Refer to love and do what you will.
Yeah.
Well, it was kind of a strange place to cut it off. So there's another 2 hours and 20 minutes of direct examination, and then the cross is about just over 3 hours. So we shouldn't start that now. Hey, chat community. What I was thinking of doing is putting on the Ezra McCandless 48 hours video that's not on YouTube, at least in my country, and talking about that and watching it together. But does anyone know if that's like allowed? I mean, obviously, I can't just upload the 48 hours special like as a video on its own, but if we're adding commentary, is that like falling under free use or what do you think? All these Ezra McCandless videos are demonetized anyway because there's so much sexual assault references. Yeah, that's why I'm pushing the coffees this month, you know, because it's impacting. How about that, huh? I just couldn't do the Adelsons anymore for a little while. We'll be back, don't worry. But it just gave me a fucking nervous breakdown. We had to take basically 2 weeks off. We were off sick. Can you imagine? So that didn't help either. Yeah. Well, thanks so much, Victoria Girl, for the super chat. You don't make me laugh. You know exactly what pegging is, Victoria Girl. Old mate Murphy, that's very kind of you for the super sticker. What is Leslie saying? Leslie says, someone said as long as you talk and pause it every few minutes, then it works. Not sure if it's true, but what I heard. Yeah,